In order to wake up, you have to accept yourself completely as you are. And in order to accept yourself completely as you are, you have to get rid of all definitions of yourself, which also means all definition of other, and all definitions of the world, and all definitions of good and bad and right and wrong, and what you're supposed to be and not supposed to be, and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. That's all ridiculous. That's all conditioned programming that has absolutely nothing to do with truth whatsoever. And that takes a lot of pain and suffering because you're attached to the notion that you're supposed to be something or somebody or a certain kind of way in order to fit into society or in order to fit into your subculture or your microculture or your nanoculture. You're supposed to be some kind of way, check off some kind of tick marks and some kind of laundry list in order to be the right kind of person. Whether the right kind of right person or the right kind of left person or the right kind of middle person or the right kind of upper, lower, inner, outer, whatever kind of person. And it's ridiculous. How to be a man, how to be a woman, how to be in between, how to be both, how to be neither, how to be this, how to be that, how to be God, how to be the devil, how to be a saint, how to be a sinner. How to fix your ego, how to escape from your ego, how to kill the ego, how to blah, 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 fuckity blah. It's all a bunch of nonsense. It's trash. It's garbage. There is no way to be, and there's no way not to be. What you are is what you are. And that has nothing to do with the body or the mind. Yes, it does include the body and the mind. It includes that. And there's no obligation in that. That doesn't mean that you don't get tattoos or piercings. It doesn't mean that you do get them. It doesn't mean that you grow your hair or cut your hair. It doesn't mean that you grow your beard or don't grow your beard or cut your beard or dye your hair or don't dye your hair or wear contact lenses or don't wear contact lenses or use makeup or don't use makeup or wear Western clothes or Eastern clothes or your own made up clothes or African clothes or any kind of clothes. Any kind of clothes. South American, Central American. This isn't about swapping out one identity for another. This isn't about doing anything to yourself or to anybody, or not doing anything to yourself. Because who is the self that you can do anything to? I hope that you don't mind Spinko Binko being there. He's a sweetheart. Hush, Bunko. I hope that you're really hearing what I'm saying. Sorry, Spinko got that little hope word in my mouth. Ha, Bunko. You want to come down? This way? Or are you going to go back that way? Spinko Binko. This. A friend gave this to me, I think when I was like 18 or 19 or something for my birthday. It's from Kingdom Hearts. I actually just saw him post something earlier today. Anyway. Oh, let's see. I saw you put a piece of wheat down there that I don't want you to eat because it's spiny. Okay, there we go. There's nothing to be, and there's nothing not to be. You are what you are. And what you are is the whole thing. Every human being is that. Is a perfect, complete incarnation, manifestation of the source of creation, of God, of that. What does that mean? That means you can't call yourself anything. You can't say I'm this and not that. You cannot say that I am masculine and not feminine. You cannot say that I'm feminine and not masculine. You cannot say that I am this and not that. You cannot say that here is my label and category and there is not my label and category. You cannot say I'm black and not white or white and not black. Those words are dependent upon one another. They create one another. All labels and all definitions are relative to one another. They depend on one another. If one disappears, so does the other. And in order to maintain your feeling, your sense of supremacy, superiority, or otherwise your sense of being the right kind of person... Uh-oh. No, we don't eat those. We don't eat those. Nope, nope, nope. We don't eat those. See, you got all kinds of drool on the leaf. Let me see your mouth. Come here. Boop, boop. Okay, good boy. Good Spinko. You're always a good Spinko. But I just want to make sure you're not eating the little grassy bits. I know grass is good for them to eat, but this is the kind of wheat that's a little bit spiny and sticky, and I'm sure his digestive tract could handle it if he's drawn to eat it, but he's also not used to eating things like that, and the last thing that we need is any kind of a punctured, perforated, or otherwise blocked up or messed up intestinal situation here. Ha, binko, spinko. Rightio. So, there's absolutely no salvation. There's no liberation in any kind of identity. You could go from whatever the initial limitation handed to you by your culture, by your family, by your religion, by your country, etc. And then you could move over into the supposedly liberated form of self-definition and self-understanding. And in that, what you will simply find is more cages, more gridlocks, more deadlocks. You'll just find more of the same contrivance, more of the same restriction, because every definition is an imposition from the outside. Even if you contrive your own meaning to a definition, you're still using outside vocabulary to contrive, to tweak, to discover, or not discover, to manipulate the definitions that you've been given to make them a little more expansive. But all you can do with the definition is make it a little more expansive, a little more expansive, a little more expansive, because finally, if you go into ultimate expansion, that's eternity itself, which is that which cannot be defined. To define means to put something within four walls, or within a cube. You can't do that to eternity. You can't do that to the self. You can't do that to what is. So, no matter what word you choose to call yourself, unless that word includes all that is, it's just another trap. And if the word finally includes all that is, then you don't need the word any longer. You see the illusory, provisional, temporary nature of the word. And so to even call yourself God, to say, I am God, is that true? Yeah, it's true. I is God. That's the truth. And all you have to do is say I is, or I am. And then you can even drop the copula and simply say I. And then you drop even the word I, and you're just here as the presence to which I refers. And that presence has no gender, no race, no name, no form, no shape, no time, no identity at all whatsoever. At all. And all name and form arise out of this presence and return to this presence and in fact belong to this presence. So as long as you want to be and continue to identify with some particular thing, some particular manifestation of mind, of name and form, you stay stuck. Uh-oh, Spinko, Binko. Here, go ahead and... You're okay, baby. Okay, you're gonna sick open there, that's okay. Whoosh. Oof. Big sick. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Sorry, Spinko Binko got sick, and there is plant in there. That's why I tell you not to eat the plants, Binko. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. One more time. One more time. Woof. Oh, yeah, there you go. Get it out. Get it out. Okay. Alrighty, sorry everybody. I'm gonna keep talking, I hope you can hear me. But I do have to tend to my Spinko Binko. Okay. Are you okay, Bunkos? Feeling better now? Okay. I'm just gonna get rid of those little plants. So that you don't have to do that anymore. You know, identity in all ways is a trap. In all ways is a trap. It keeps you stuck in what people call the matrix. So, if you're here now, still with me, I'm assuming that you're chill. Otherwise you would have left. So I'm just going to speak very freely using our common social language, okay? So when you're born and they give you a gender and they say you're a boy or a girl, they're not just referring to your genitals, they're referring to their plans for you. if you are called a boy child, then you are raised to be one who is supposed to kill and conquer and rape. And if you're called a girl child, then you're raised to be one who's supposed to accept that behavior onto them. And what is that for? It's for the sake of continuing the war machine. So within that mode, there has to be, even within the queer community or the gay community, when people talk about sexual roles, top and bottom, there's a sort of a hierarchical capacity, structure built in there. And if you speak a Romance language like Spanish, Latin, Italian, French, Portuguese, Romanian. I don't speak Romanian, so I can't really speak to that, but I do speak French and Spanish, and I have awareness of Italian and Portuguese and so on. The words that are used for top and bottom are active and passive, which is fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. It doesn't mean anything. It's an attempt to say, here's the active agent who does the thing to this passive sexual object. And so the entire structure of a binary, whether you call it black and white, or whether you call it boy and girl, male and female, any kind of a binary structure, the yin and the yang, the dark and the light, any kind of a binary structure that is given, or a dual structure that is given, is about psychologically contrived power and control. The insider and the outsider. The agent of action and the object upon which the action is enacted. Are you with me? I hope so. So, or the Christian and the non-Christian, right? The God and the devil. Heaven and hell. Same thing. So when you explore the nature of that duality, if you really explore it, you see that there always has to be the rapist and the raped. There always has to be the one who decides to do something to another and the one who has no choice but to take it. Because if they run away or they escape, there are people on the periphery to shove them back in who are aligned with the one who is doing the raping in order to make them take it, right? And that's how it functions. And so if you see that that's what the entire society is, that's what the whole religious, scientific, artistic, philosophical, psychological structure that we call civilization, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what the family is. That's what society is. That's what so-called civilization is. It's a game of who gets to rape who gets to kill who gets to punch who gets to destroy who. And then it's justified with a philosophy, with a theology, with a psychology that talks about deservability and who deserves it and such and such and such. And so justice is all based on who gets to destroy who gets to kill who gets to violate who. And then we call that justice and law and order and heaven and hell and all that kind of nonsense. And if you have any intelligence in you whatsoever, then you see how ridiculous that is. Obviously, because you see there's no way out of that trap. And there's no way to be a human being without being aware of that. Now, at this point, everybody has to make a choice, because you either surrender to the truth of who and what you really are, which is infinite, open, eternally expansive being, which is love, intelligence, God, truth itself, or you try to hide behind, within some limited framework, which can only beget that kind of violation, that violence. All ideology, whether you call it left, right, or center, all ideology is violent. All ideology allows for violation. All ideology deals with reward and punishment. All of it. And unless you can be here totally free, without a single thread or stretch of ideology, without a single thread or stretch or identification or association with name and form, you're violent. You're a part of a structure of violation. You are. Whether you want to admit it or not, you are. And so you have to be totally free. And so if you identify with being anything, if you identify with anything at all, you're violent. That's a fact. And until you see that all those words are relative And even if you have a very complex cluster of identities, and you look for somebody else who has those same complex clusters of identities, you will find that you do not have an automatic relationship. There's actually, in fact, no relationship. There are two very superficial, empty, sad, scared, hollow people who are trying to create some sense of self using words, believing that using the same words reflects some shared experience that's unique to you and not to anybody else, neglecting the fact. Come sit with me. Come sit with me. Neglecting the fact that every human being has the same experience. Because every human being is love. Every human being is God. Given the choice to pretend or to play the role of the devil, so to speak, in order to maintain an artificial sense of safety, because we were born into that. We were born into a family, into a society, into a world that demands that you rape or be raped. If you don't allow us to beat you into the role of being a violator, we will violate you until you become a violator. We will abuse you until you become an abuser. And if you opt out and say, I will not abuse and I will not be abused, then they will kill you. And everything else. And if you refuse to violate or be violated, to abuse or to be abused, if you refuse to exploit or be exploited, then the entire structure that propagates that will call you whatever name they have to call you. It doesn't matter. They'll call you either a commie, or if you're on the left and you refuse to play that game, then they'll call you whatever they call you. They may call you a Nazi sympathizer or whatever, right? When you get to the point of them saying, we have to go kill the Nazis, right? But the left validates those people. It creates them. Let me tell you a story. This was in Seattle. This was during the first iteration of the present administration. And there was somebody seen. No. You want plants? There was somebody seen walking around downtown Seattle with a swastika patch on their jacket. And the entire Seattle queer Facebook grid was lit up, and everybody was screaming, Nazi, Nazi, there's a Nazi, there's a Nazi, there's a Nazi, there's a Nazi. You know, it's a fucking kid who doesn't know himself, who's in a world where he doesn't know how to know himself, just like everybody else, and he's trying to find some way of finding safety and security like everybody else, hiding behind some insignia, some badge, some concept that he doesn't even understand. And everybody turned it into an SOS. And then apparently some group went out and they mobilized, and they took a picture and they punched the kid and whatever. And then they all congratulated themselves, yeah, we punched a Nazi and we got a Nazi. And what do you think that does? All that does is make it so that the next time that guy, either alone or with his friends, are walking down the street, now further embittered, further justified in their own minds. Cuckoo. Yeah. When they see a weak, lonely, poor, helpless, defenseless, in their mind, queer kid, guess who they're going to attack? There's a beautiful saying in Spanish. El puñal de tu enemigo lo afilas tú. You sharpen your enemy's dagger. You validate them. And so the left does this very strange thing where it validates the abusive and exploitative pseudo-identities of their opponents. There are no Nazis. They're all dead. But because you're so frightened of those labels, you validate people because you don't understand the psychology of the ego. It's all the ego. The ego is the very essence of fear, loneliness, self-hatred, which is no love. And in that you have to hide in identities, and you're given them when you're born, man and woman. And those are opposites, apparently. with no intersecting qualities whatsoever. The only time they meet is when they have sex. Ooh, careful with the claws, Bunko. The only time they meet is when they have sex, and not even then. It's not even real sex. There's no actual connection. It's one using the other. And the man hates the woman that he's sleeping with. Obviously, because he hates himself. Because he's no longer a true, pure human being. It's impossible to identify as a man or a woman and be a pure, true human being. It's impossible to identify as a Christian or an atheist or a Muslim or a Hindu or anything and be a true, pure human being. It's impossible to identify as anything and be a true, pure human being. It's not possible. It's just not possible. The minute you identify with any partiality whatsoever, Smoko Bunko, please be careful with the claws, Bunko. Nom, 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 nom. I know, come here. It's okay, come here. There's nothing that you can do about the situation except to drop your identity. And nobody wants to do that. Nobody. Nobody wants to do it. Why? Because it means you have to drop your shield, your sword, and your armor. And nobody wants to put down their shield and their sword and their armor. Because it means you have to stand naked and defenseless in the middle of the great void. With no hope, no numbness, and indeed no hopelessness. Just being completely empty in the middle of everything. It's facing death right now. And nobody wants to do it. Why? Because it's death. And there are conditioned superstitions about death, which are the same superstitions as being this gender or this race or that race. White, black, man, woman, these are all conditionings. And whatever the dominant factor is, if it's man or if it's white, then the only way to understand woman or black is to understand those words as being pure, inner, esoteric pointings to that which is whole and complete. And the minute you discover that, then you discover that black and white are one, that man and woman are one. And so, if you've ever read the Galatians, I think it's Galatians 30, maybe 29, but it's the end of Galatians. It says, for you are neither Greek nor Jew, you are neither slave nor free, you are neither man nor woman, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Father, show them that they and I are one, just as you and I are one. But nobody wants to face these because everybody wants to maintain their false sense of security, which is their violence. People want to know who they're allowed to violate and who's not allowed to violate them. And if someone violates someone and they think you're not supposed to, then they get to have their little so-called justice, and it's not justice. But they're allowed to go violate others. And so the minute you take an identity, you're a hypocrite. If you say, I'm this and I'm not that, you're a hypocrite. Because you are all that is. And there's nothing else to be. There's no way else to be. So even if you take an expansive identity, that identity still has walls, boundaries. You are that which has no boundary. You are that which has no beginning and no end. The words male and female, black and white, gay and straight, especially straight, can't even begin to encompass who and what you are. Can't even begin. Those are all empty, dead, meaningless words. They all have relative provisional value, some more than others, but finally they all lose all their meaning completely. In fact, all words do. All words are made up. All categories are made up. All labels and distinctions are made up, and they're there as purely functional designators because you have desire. And you have desire, which means that you want to take something and make it your own because you think that will give you some kind of safety and security. You think it'll save you. It won't. It cannot. You think being a man is going to save you. It won't. You think being a woman is going to save you. It won't. You think being straight or being gay is going to save you. It won't. You think that belonging to any group is going to save you. It won't. You think that having a strong racial or cultural or religious identity will save you. It won't. It will just make you more antagonistic. Until the very blood of God is flowing through your veins. Until the very nectar of immortality itself is coursing through every cell in your body as pure living ecstasy, as pure love, you don't know anything. You haven't known anything. And you won't know anything until you know that. That is freedom. The very nectar of God, the nectar of eternal life. And that is flowing all around you. That's your birthright. That's the birthright of every human being to know. And so until you become woman, until you become the goddess 100%, you have no idea what God is. And the minute you know her, you know him. And you know them as one. Beyond division. Dividing God from goddess is just a dialectical, rhetorical tool for the sake of communicating with egos who don't know anything. All mythology, all religion, all philosophy, be it true, all words whatsoever, provided that they are true, are meant to dissolve all words, including themselves, so that one comes back to the natural state, which is beyond thought, beyond memory, beyond desire, beyond division, revealing the truth about division and desire. And all desire is separation from love. All desire wants to bring an end to itself. And yet people want to keep holding on to desire in perpetuity. But if you have a desire for food, don't you want to eat? And when you eat, what is the culmination of that having eaten? It's the ending of the desire to eat. And so then you're returned to a place of peace where there's no desire, because peace means no desire. Love means no desire. Stillness means no desire. Ecstasy means no desire. Desire means there's an itch, there's a disturbance. And that disturbance wants to be gratified, satiated, in order for it to go away. And yet the minute that the desire is about to be totally satisfied and therefore brought to an end, there's fear. Uh-oh, what happens when that desire goes away? Will I ever want again? Will people want to come around me? Because your desire is how you meet people and how people meet you. Because without desire, nobody wants to move, because desire is movement. And you're afraid that if you drop desire, then nobody will want to fuck you, and if no one wants to fuck you, then nobody will want to be in your life or be your friend, because people either want to fuck you and they do get to fuck you, or they have a hankering to fuck you, and their desire to fuck you, their unfulfilled desire to fuck you, is what keeps them in your life, right? Obviously. Because it's money and sex. If you're in the ego, you're driven by money and sex. Obviously. And so money and sex is desire. And so desire wants to keep itself around in order to remain relevant in the clutches of other people's desire. And so when you sit in total desirelessness, which is the whole point of desire anyway, to return to desirelessness, then there's no wanting anything from anybody. And when you don't want anything from anybody, you don't know what to do with that, because there's nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with anything or anybody. It has no meaning whatsoever. Meaning is a thing of desire. It's completely relative and made up. It's part of conditioning, as is will, because that is will. And so when you see there is no meaning, there is no will, there is no desire, that's all a made up contrivance of the mind, it's a ghost, it's a phantom, you see you're just chasing mirages, images. And if you can sit here in total desirelessness for even a moment, you taste a stillness beyond any contrivance or notion of stillness. You taste God. You become God. And you see you always were, and that God is all there is. And then everybody on this earth is just having a big laugh. Ooh, fuck. He pushed off with his back claws into my abdomen. And if you haven't noticed, I got a little bit of a bloop, bloop, bloop. It's a little solid underneath that. But on top of it, I got a little tiny beady, 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 beady. Spinko, binko. I think we picked up all the All the spiky bits, huh? A little bit. Yeah, so. Love. When you're in love, when you are love, when you know yourself to be love, there are no men or women. There are no black or white. There are no gay or straight. Every human being is Ida and Pingala. Every human being is Shiva and Shakti. Let me go grab this. I have it right, it's behind me. You discover yourself to be this. Sorry, Shmanko. Hanumanji. The great servant of Ram and Sita, of God. Hanuman opens up his heart, revealing Ram and Sita to be there. Hanuman is Shiva. Ram and Sita is Krishna Lakshmi, Krishna Radha Krishna, and Vishnu Lakshmi. So these are all images. These are all multidimensional images, multidimensional metaphors to show you who you are. So this is Shiva as the Ardhanarishvar, which means the Lord who's half woman, or the Lord who's half man. You can take it either way. So there's what you call the Shiva side, or the Purush, the Adi Purush side, and there is Parvati, or the Shakti side. That's Ida and Pingala, right? And so you have this. That's the left side and that's the right side, right? What people call the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine. This is one body. Your left side is your yin, that's your Ida, that's your feminine. The right, that's your Pingala, that's your masculine side. And up the central column is called Sushumna Nadi, which is the union of the two. But when you touch it, you see there is no one and the other coming together in union. That's a metaphor. We say when the two sides come together to make a whole, and that's what the marriage is a metaphor of. But when it actually happens in you, let me go let him out. And I actually have to grab something from up there to show you anyway. I have an image over here depicting that. Bye, Spinko Binko. Here's another form of that. You see these very commonly in Shiva temples. So there's the Shiva form, right? I'm sorry, no. There's the Parvati form. So see how it's, right? And so this is Parvati as a whole being sitting there. There's Shiva as a whole being there. And look, their hands are crossed behind them on Ganesh. Ganesh is there in their middle. Ganesh is their child. Ganesh represents the Sushumna Nadi. That's the nadi that goes right at the center. That's the spine. That's where the Kundalini coils around and comes up, right? So you see this family image and people go, oh, what a nice family. Yeah, that's you. This is me. This is you. The Adi Purush, or the Shiva, the Shakti, and then the Sushumna Nadi, the Ida Pingala and the Sushumna Nadi all have to come up. That is what happens in enlightenment and cosmic consciousness. I'm going to go put this back. Your culture doesn't matter, your gender doesn't matter, your race doesn't matter. This is universal science. So these images are from India, but every enlightened being that has ever existed has experienced this themselves. Because you have no choice. It's what it means to be human. It's literally the physiology of your body. And so anybody that says they're masculine and they're not feminine, or they're feminine and they're not masculine, bullshit. You are feminine, you are masculine, you are androgynous, you are both, and you are neither, all at once. God is both masculine, feminine, neither, and both, all at once. And beyond being all at once. God is all that is, and you are that. So anything less than that is you being a distorted being. And 99.999% of people are totally distorted. They're lopsided, crooked creatures. Absolutely distorted. Because they won't surrender to themselves. Because in order to do that, you have to leave behind everything anybody ever taught you. You have to abandon your association with your family, with your religion, with your gender, with your race, with your culture, with everything you've ever known. You have to leave the entirety of the mind behind. And there's no guarantee that you'll ever get it back. It feels like walking into darkness which is potentially madness. Because you see, you may run out into the streets and go crazy and go, and you might get locked up by one group or another for being insane and incompetent, and everybody will look at you like, oh, poor duck, you lost it. And so you have to enter into a madness beyond madness. You have to be willing to lose your mind and your whole being, potentially in hell, because that's the conditioning you've been given, and never return. It takes a strength and a courage beyond any notion of strength and courage. It makes all those manosphere so-called idiots that preach discipline and blah, blah, it makes them look like just the wimpiest of wimps. I mean, it makes them look like just pieces of gutter trash. It makes the world's notions of respect and honor and loyalty, and even of love, and the world's notions of love are not love. It's desire, which is meant to keep and hold. And so everyone that talks about honor and loyalty and respect and justice, that's all trash. Those people they're hopefuls. And it's not good to be a hopeful. It means you're lost in hell. It means you're worshiping images, money, sex, power. Power over another, power to kill, power to violate, and pretending that that's somehow equivalent to intelligence or God. It is not. Intelligence only is when there is nothing, when you are completely empty. And when you are completely empty, you're suddenly full of everything. And you know the secrets of all of creation from the beginning to the end of time. Everything is yours. God surrenders to you completely, as you have surrendered to God. When you bow to God, God bows back. When you surrender to God, God surrenders to you. It is the most blasphemous thing, by all dictates of Orthodox religion. And so you have to be willing to blaspheme everything, not as some cheap rebel, but because you need the truth. Because you see that truth alone saves. Truth alone is the ending of suffering. And if you don't see the need to end suffering, not God, nor myself, nor anybody in heaven or hell or on earth or in any dimension can help you. So the essential ingredient, the essential thing that one needs to wake up, that one needs for enlightenment, nobody can give you. Nobody. The intelligence is either operating in you or it is not. And that's not something anybody can give you. And if you don't have it, the best thing you can do is surrender to one who does. But more often than not, such people surrender to only those who reflect their own misery and fear and hatred. And so nobody wakes up. Why not? First of all, there is nobody to wake up, because the true self is always awake. It's simply covered with all of the adjuncts of time and space, as they're called. The apparent individual forms and shapes and structures of time and space, which are all of contrivance, psychological projection. So, if you're willing to surrender to the truth of who and what you really are, that means you have to accept your body in every way as it is, and your mind in every way as it is. And you have to accept all of your desires, all of your passions, all of your fears, all of your suffering, all of your sorrow, all of it, without it being validated by anything or anybody, without any hope of ever being able to explain it to anybody, because only those who know themselves know this. And those who refuse to know themselves will never know this. It is not possible. And such a one will always pretend to be something other than what they are. And they will cling desperately to their masks, to their images, to their idols, to their tokens, to their concepts, and they will never be free. Never. Such a one can never be free, no matter what, not by any power in heaven or hell can such a one be free. Only when your desire for truth is 100%, which means you stand completely alone, not defending anything. Not defending any self-image, I mean. allowing all image to be utterly destroyed. All image. All image. And when all image is destroyed, only truth alone remains, unsupported by anything, because truth stands on its own. Truth supports itself. Truth needs no outside assistance. And in the realization of absolute truth, you see that you are all that is, all at once. And then there's no division, there's no suffering, there's no hatred, no enmity, no jealousy, no fear, not of death, of love, of life, of pleasure, of pain, of sex, of nothing, no fear. And no craving either, because all craving is fear. And when there's neither fear nor craving, you are free from everything. You can do anything or nothing. It makes no difference, because in this state, there's no desire to harm. There's no desire to violate. There's no desire to because who would you conquer? Who would you violate? Only yourself. Because there are no others. There is only you. There is only God. There is only truth. And whatever you do to yourself, you do to the other. Whatever you do to the other, you do to yourself. Whatever you do to anybody or anything, you're doing to yourself, you're doing to God. You're doing to life itself. And you're only putting yourself in hell. Now, not in some afterlife, but right here. So you either want absolute freedom for yourself and for all beings, or else you want to live in a cage and to put others in cages. There is no in between. No in between. And there are no gradations of this. You either know it or you don't. You know it or you don't. So you either want to put yourself and everybody else in cages, because you cannot put another in a cage without also caging yourself. Because it requires that you share an adjacent cage, or the same cage, and it's always the same cage, with the person who you have caged. Someone can only have a slave if they themselves are tied to their slave, and therefore they are a slave. You can only be truly free when all beings are set free. You must set everything and everybody free for you to be free. If you even have a single hostage, you're not free. He who takes hostages is himself or herself, themself, a hostage. And the one who liberates all is themselves liberated. There's no other way, no in between. Therefore, there is no philosophy, no psychology, no theology, no scientific paradigm of enlightenment, no such fucking thing. No absolute art, no absolute science, no absolute religion, nor philosophy, nor psychology. That's all relative trash. It's your entertainment. It's your technology, which you abuse utterly, because it is all only one technology, and that's the mind. The mind, which is thought, there is no mind. Thought is the only technology you have. And you either understand the physics of thought completely, or else you are ignorant of it, and therefore you abuse it. And therefore you abuse yourself and you abuse others. Exploit, violate, etc. No in between. There is never an in between. That's an illusion. You are in or you are out. And if you're out, there is no out. You're only living in the darkness of your own ignorance. There is only in and in and in and in and in. That's all there is. In is out and out is in. There is only that. There is only God. There is no God versus the devil. There is only God. The devil is your own imagination. That's your own ignorance. And the God that is the opposite of the devil is the same thing as the devil. It is the devil. Just two devils wearing masks, fighting each other. And in what are they fighting? In God. It's God's theater. It's God's play. And even those devils are just God in disguise, pretending not to be. And that's what you are. You are God in disguise, pretending not to be. Because you would rather play your devilish games and then pretend to be righteous. Pretend to be fighting on behalf of the good God and his great righteous rules, and it's just your ego. That's called ego worship. So you worship your ego and you call it God. It's very cute. It's time to grow up. This message is only for the very mature. So don't for a second think you have to be able to explain this to anybody. They will not understand. Unless it is their time to understand, they will not understand. And if you wait to wake up until other people wake up, you will never wake up. You must wake up immediately, regardless of who is or isn't awake. Even if that means you have to walk away from your family, from your friends, from your country, from your neighborhood, from your religion, from everything you've ever known. And that is what it means. That's the meaning of when they have Jesus say, I've come not to bring peace but a sword, and brother will turn against brother and son from father, etc. It means that in truth, when you commit yourself completely to truth, you see that those beings who are completely committed to hatred, to violence, to violation, they cannot be reasoned with or spoken to. And there is a cleaving from. That's what people mean when they talk about the so-called 3D, 5D split, which is nonsense. There's no such thing as a 3D, 5D split. That means nothing. The body's not going anywhere. And the 5D is just pure consciousness. That's dimension 0. Don't even talk about that. You don't know a thing about it. The Akash. You don't know a thing about it. It is the 4th and the 6th dimension. 4th dimension is time, space, and thought. That's the mind as identity. That's hell. The 6th dimension is the free mind. That's Christ consciousness. And you have to know the 5th dimension to pop into the 6th, but you do not the 5th dimension is not something that is separate from the 3rd dimension. The 5th dimension is the awareness of eternity. And that brings you embodied into the 6th dimension. So a human being is either living in the 4th dimension, which is ego, hell, hatred, fear, greed, wrath, etc., or living in the 6th dimension, which is Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, cosmic consciousness. And beyond and above that, there is only God, only light, only truth. And even in the 4th dimension, it's all just light, bent, broken, refracted upon itself, like a bunch of dirty mirrors peering into each other, creating illusions of monsters and ghosts and phantoms and fiends, because no one took the time to put a little Windex on the mirrors and clean them. So here's your Windex. It's time to clean the mirror. And in cleaning the mirror completely, you see even there was no mirror. It was a dream. So when the mirrors are completely clean and you put them back, stop turning your mirrors out to face other people's, clean your mirrors and have them face one another like this. And then you see eternity, you see infinity. Eternity, right here inside of yourself. Inside of your own body is eternity. Inside of your own flesh, blood, and bone is God. Inside and outside, up, down, left, right, God. God is all there is. God, 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 God. God is the only reality. God. God, 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 God. That's all I'm ever saying. God. God, 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 God. And in God, there is nothing but God. Never was anything, never will be anything. It's all God. It is pure, unconditioned, and unconditional love. It is impossible to be separate from God. So when people say things like gay people can't be, are you kidding me? Those people have made themselves, in their experience, separate from God. The people who divide others from God. Any God that insists on being separate from other people, or that insists on putting anybody in eternal hell, is not God. That's an egoic image. It's not God. There is no separation from God, not even in hell. Because hell is made of God, and all the beings in hell are God, and the devil is God. Everything is God. It is impossible to be separate from God. So if you find yourself in hell, then guess what? God is in hell. Wherever there is the sense of I, there is God. Period. End of story. And you can take that to the bank and smoke it. God is all there is. So wanting to cut yourself up into the sacred masculine and the divine feminine, and fuck off. It is all in you. You are the divine masculine and feminine, and the divine androgen, the divine both, the divine neither. You are that which cannot be defined. God cannot be defined. Cannot be defined. And rape is not love. It's the absence of love. Violation is not love. It is the absence of love. Trauma is not love. So when you see that, and you must, unless you want to become confused, which is the very essence of ignorance, self-ignorance. So if you refuse to be ignorant of yourself, then you must go completely into the omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence of love. That is the only refuge, the only safety, the only security. And in that, you see that all violation and all desire to violate is a lie. It doesn't matter what's happening or what has happened or what will ever happen. And in this awareness, you see that it is unconscionable to want it or to allow it. And nobody who is here in love wants it or allows it. It is a manifestation of the ego only. It is a manifestation of the ego only, the desire to hurt, kill, violate, conquer, brutalize, destroy, to impose your will upon another, to impose your will upon the universe. It's ridiculous. All these idiot so-called witches and warlocks and magicians will call that the operative definition of magic. It's just ego, rape, disgusting violation, which isn't even your own. It's all your conditioning. It's your fear. It's your lovelessness. It's your self-hatred. And when you accept everything completely as it is, there is none of that. None of it. And therefore, you're not afraid to die or suffer. Not afraid of anything. And not as some badge of honor. There are no badges of honor. Only badges of thievery and cowardice. God is all there is. Love is all there is. And that is an intelligence that is so pure and so perfect and so true. You cannot touch it. You cannot grasp it. You cannot define it. Either as this or as that. It is all there is, all at once, all the time. If you're really here and listening, then all your questions should be gone. They ought to be gone. And in fact, if you're here and listening, they are gone. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But only ask what means something to you. Don't ask something that has no meaning to you. Don't ask what you don't care about. Because your only desire, if you have any desire at all, your only desire should be to know yourself completely. Completely. And you cannot know yourself if you create distance between yourself and yourself. That means you have to feel yourself completely. That means you have to accept and feel and be one with all of your desire. This is not a teaching of no desire or anti-desire or non-desire. If you are completely one with your desire and you accept desire completely as it is, it dissolves, it vanishes, and it reveals itself to be something else. You cannot deprogram or get rid of the ego. You accept it completely in every way. You, as you might say, merge with it completely, and in doing so, it vanishes, it disappears. It reveals itself to be something else. And whoever does this is no human, is no man, is no woman, is no androgen. This must be done. And in fact, it is the inevitable destiny of all being. So every word that I speak is true whether you like it or not. And you will know it, whether you want to or not. And who wants to or not? Only the ego, which wants to pickle and preserve itself in alcohol, in drugs. It wants to both preserve itself and destroy itself at the same time. That's the nature of the ego. It wants to go on living, and it wants to take itself out all at once. Desire wants to both finish itself and perpetuate itself all at once. That's called schizophrenia. And the ego is schizophrenic. But it scapegoats those few individuals who have very extreme symptoms of that schizophrenia and says they're the schizophrenic ones, not we. Yes, you are. You say those are the queer people, those are the gay people, not we. Yes, you are. Every human being is queer. You are both male and female, masculine and feminine all at once, both, neither, and beyond being either, both, or neither. Everything you say you are not, you are. And everything you say you are not. You are both, neither, and beyond both and neither, all at once. So never say it's not God. It is. You are all beings all at once. Everybody is. Your only confusion is that, not accepting yourself. And when you accept yourself completely, you go beyond all identity, all being, all desire, all name, all form, beyond it completely, free. And to be free means not to give a fuck. You naturally don't give a fuck. People then say, well, what are you? Are you straight? Are you bi? Are you gay? Are you pan? Are you poly? You're fucking mama, bro. And your daddy. And grandma and grandpa too. No limit, no boundary, no border, no exception. That means perfect equanimity, perfect stillness, perfect love. No problem. With anything or anybody. Shivoham. I am that Shiva. Tatvamasi. So are you. Get with it or get fucked. I recommend you get with it. And what fucks you? Yourself. In the form of yourself and in the form of everybody else who is also fucking themselves. I recommend here. Freedom lies only in total self-acceptance. Nothing more, nothing less. It takes everything to know yourself. It takes everything to know God. It takes everything. Everything. And it will never happen without the true desire. Ever. You must have a true, complete, pure desire to know yourself. For the sake of love and love alone. For the sake of truth and truth alone. Nothing else is good enough. Nothing. 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 Everything else is lukewarm, mediocre trash, which should leave a filthy, disgusting, wretched taste in your mouth that makes you want to spit it out. It's disgusting. Anything other than being totally on fire is disgusting. It's a waste of life. A waste of life. And this fire alone, which is God itself, is intelligence, is love, is peace, is compassion, is ecstasy, joy, stillness, wisdom. Those are all synonyms. So the head must be taken off, must be chopped off, and replaced with a divine head, with a true head, with a glorious head. That is called Shiva, Shakti, Ganesh, God. That's called truth. And there is nothing and nobody but that. That is the Lord of all. So every tongue shall confess, every knee shall bow. I believe the verbatim is the other way around. Every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that Christ is Lord. What is Christ? The anointed, the anointing. That which anoints and that which is anointed. The anointer, the anointing, and the anointed are one. For you are neither Greek nor Jew. You are neither slave nor free. You are neither man nor woman, male nor female. For you are all one in Christ Jesus. You are all one in God. You are all one in Allah. To God belongs the east and the west, so that wheresoever you should turn and look, there is the face of God. Indeed, God is the omniscient and the omnipresent, the all-encompassing and the all-knowing. That's from the Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter, verse 155. The Arabic is وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. There is not a single scripture on this planet, however corrupt any of them may be. And finally, all words are corrupt. All words are corrupt. Everything made by the mind is corrupt. However pure it may seem to be, or whatever kind of purity it may purport to point to. All words are corrupt. All images are corrupt. And all images and words fundamentally point to God. Everything points to God. And so you must drop all images and words and come to the living God, which is beyond all caste, all creed, all denomination, all religion, all gender, all sex, all race, beyond any and all division, beyond all self-hatred. And when you accept yourself completely as being inseparable from God, you see that everywhere you look there is the face of God, because God is all there is. And there's no more judgment of others. Judgment means to condemn. That means to put some people in heaven, some people in hell. So don't get these words twisted. People who believe in justice always want to avoid the justice coming upon them. And so as they judge others, they will then tell others who are using discernment that they're judging them, you see. So calling ignorance ignorance is not judgment, it's truth. Because there's no condemnation in it. Only people who live in that kind of judgment fear that same judgment, and therefore they project it onto others. And therefore they fling rocks while hiding behind barriers. They're too cowardly to come out and face what they have given. And finally, everybody must face what they have given. Everybody must face what they have done. Everybody must take every ounce of suffering they've ever inflicted upon another. Everybody must take it. Everybody must take their own medicine. Whether you do it now or later is up to you, but the sooner you take it, the better. Freedom consists in only that. If you are divided in any way, you're in hell. To hate yourself, to hate what you desire, to hate the craving of your flesh, that is hell. To accept it completely is to go beyond it. But not because you want to go beyond it. You surrender to it completely. And in surrendering to it, it moves through you and out of you. And you see it for what it was, a temporary provisional movement. So that you are now both one with everything and beyond everything, and totally surrendered to everything. All at once. Mystery of mysteries. Forever it endures. Never can it be completely expressed, for its complete expression is only in its own stillness and silence. All movement is an incomplete expression. Stillness is the only complete expression. And that is an expression that cannot be known except immediately. And it can never be captured by science, by religion, by art, by psychology, or philosophy. Those are all cheap pointers to the real thing, which you either know intimately and imminently as the truth of who and what you really are, and of who and what all is, or you don't. And if you don't, you're going to. You must. And deeply you do. All being knows it. Because it is the truth of what moves all. It's the power behind all. So you can never be separate from it. Nobody can. Not in heaven or hell or on earth, or in any other dimension. It includes all. Therefore, there is no punishment, no reward. That's all your petty psychological trash, your pseudo-justice. And until you get that, this world will stay lost in hell and darkness and suffering. And that's what we have come to call civilization, which it is not. Pseudo-civilization, anti-civilization. So enlightenment or consciousness, awareness of your inseparable union with God, that is the only medicine, that is the only cure. That is the only hope, the only salvation. Forget the word hope. It's the only salvation. It's the only redemption. It's the only fulfillment of your being, of all that is. And you can only know it directly. And it is the greatest joy to share that. To share it directly, to share it actually. The words are spoken as they are because they must be. The truth is that everything is light pouring into itself. Everything is ecstasy, ecstatically dancing in its own ecstasy. Everything is ecstasy drunk on itself. Everything is love drunk on itself. Everything is God drunk on itself. And God only knows God. God only sees God. God only sees God. Self-hatred, self-denial, self-betrayal, these are all of the mind. And all dogma and doctrine and culture give you a distorted image of what self-betrayal is. They say betrayal of self is betrayal of the culture. No, the culture is betrayal of self. The religion is betrayal of self. The philosophy and the psychology and even the scientific aphorism is betrayal of self. The true self is right here and eternally bright and shining. Forever it endures. Never can you escape from it. And if science, religion, and art be true, then they know themselves and recognize themselves to be totally one and the same. It is a machine used in service of humankind, in service of life, or else it is used in service of the ego and therefore self-destruction and self-hatred, which is what it's been being used as, for the most part. So the only tool you have is the mind. And you either use the mind, thought, memory, desire, same thing, thought, the mind. You either use that tool, that machine, in service of truth and love, in service of peace, ecstasy, in service of life, or you use it in service of self-hatred, self-betrayal, and therefore hatred of others, hatred of life, destruction. acceleration of chaos and doom and all that bull fucking shit. Which is all the ego, the unconscious programming, you see. So everything is either held in the hands of consciousness or unconsciousness. That's up to you. So there's no point projecting it outward and blaming it on anybody else, because you are either in the lap of consciousness, or you are operating unctuously out of unconscious drive to perpetuate unconsciousness, which is the simultaneous drive to very subtly destroy oneself. Because the desire of unconsciousness to perpetuate itself is its even more deeply hidden desire to destroy itself, and to believe it can destroy life, which it cannot. Life is eternal. Death is an illusion. Consciousness alone is, and consciousness alone is eternal. Unconsciousness is temporary, self-destroying, hopelessly ambitious to destroy what it can never even grasp or touch, and therefore can only destroy itself. And itself finally is known, is seen to not even exist. It's a dream within a dream. It's an illusion of an illusion, believing itself to be real. And when you see this, you're filled with pure joy and light and delight. Absolute ecstasy, and a peace that passes understanding. Love, God. Because there's nothing but this. Nothing. Praise be to Jesus the Christ. Praise be to God. Praise be to the source of being, which is all. Praise be. Praise be. Creation and Creator are one. God is all that is. Every tree, every bird, every rock, every animal, every ant, every elephant, every mountain, every cloud, the spacious sky itself, the electromagnetic field, every atom, every quark, every gluon, every human being. God. God. God is all there is. You must know this. You must. Without this, there's nothing. No life, no love, no health. Nothing. This is true wealth, knowing this. There's nothing else to know. Nothing. And all mythologies point to this. All mythologies, all the gods and goddesses and the spirits and the ancestors, everything points to this. Everything. Which is eternal. It's an eternal pointing. So call God by whatever name you wish to call God, or by no name at all. Because God is the indweller in the heart of all beings. God is in my own infinite eternal heart, eternally, and I am in God's own eternal heart, eternally, infinitely. My own eternal infinite heart is one with God's eternal infinite heart. In fact, there's only one heart, one consciousness, one love, and I is that. I am that. You are that. You is that. And I could sing your praises forever. Hallelujah. Now then. Go get something to eat. Go get some water or something. Peace. I love you. Love. 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 Love.